I'm Patrick Wakalala. I'm from Zambia, Lusaka. I do have 3 kids. One 16, second boy 5 years. My last born is 2 years old. I think for some reason I was lucky that I started investing by default. So when I left the university, in our good old years, you write your last paper, you had companies lining up to snatch you. You jump in one vehicle for the company you want, and off I went to the mines. So the very first month when I arrived at the mine, I noticed that they were offering housing plots to employees in certain areas. Yeah. So I went to the HR manager and asked for a plot. So they gave me one, and I started building. So that's how I owned my first asset. I built it. Yeah. So I got encouraged by one of the low-level employees in the company. So one day, this old man asked me to go to the department. So I arrived at the department. He says, "Boss, I would like to show you something." I said, "Okay, fine." I asked him to jump into my vehicle. And so he took me to his township where he pointed at a house. He says, "Boss, I own this asset." He took me to another place. He said, "This asset is also mine." We went to a third location, and he said it was his asset. So he was the motivator for me applying for my first plot that resulted in my first home. So then he told me, looking at my level, "Do you think I can afford to build these 3 houses?" Then I said, "No." Then he told me it has taken me 25 years to build these 3 houses. So don't look at the BOQ, the bill of quantity, for any of your projects. Just buy the plot and start digging. So that's where I learned the concept. Investment is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You know, what had happened is I like reading a lot. So one day I'm going through the internet, I go Facebook, then I land into your page. Then I listened to your presentation. Then I said, "I'm interested. I would like to know more," because I had that 3-year real estate investment as the only asset class other than my work pension. That's all I did up to the point when I stumbled on your page. So what I heard you explain were things that I wasn't doing, which I should have. So I got interested. I didn't even blink. I just bought into the FFU class. I think what hit me was the money I left on the table because of lack of knowledge. I could be miles away towards my freedom because I have had bonuses through my working life. I have had a good salary over my life, but I was not investing. I stuck to only building one house every 3 years, which wasn't too bad. At least I did something. So I did something, but I could have done better. Then I listened to the ETF story, which was new to me. I straight away went to open accounts. I opened my 3 accounts and subscribed to automations, and I went in. So I spent a week to just read to understand what ETFs are and how I can make my investment through ETFs. Then I called ETF SA guys, asking them to explain what this is all about. I think once I got convinced this is the way to go, it's also a way to create a solid base. And if I do this long enough, with what I already had, I knew that I would be independent quite quickly. What I've adopted is a principle of speaking to the young people around learning the investment art. I tell them, when you are young, you are a millionaire in the making. You only need to start early enough to understand how the world works. So I've been telling all my siblings and my young people that there is no need for you to borrow money from the bank if you can become your own bank. So you only need to learn, pay yourself first. I'll tell you a story of my 13-year-old boy. So my nephew visits me one day. So I decide to sit him down. So I sit him down to tell him about savings. So I tell him, let me tell you a story of why people are poor, despite them working and earning. So I go through the emotions of building an attitude of saving, and that you need to delay your gratification, and you can use your money to invest or to sell. So having taken the boy through, he really understood. 6 months later, he came visiting again. So he tells me in kwacha terms, the Zambian currency, says, I've got 2,000 kwacha in my account. Then I ask him, how did you raise this money? Then he says, no, what you told me, uncle, that's what I'm doing. When mommy gives me a 50 kwacha, I tell her 10 kwacha is to be kept for me and take it to my bank. So at least he's got it right. So my hope is as he grows into working career, he will remember that for every money is given by whoever, 10% is not his. It needs to be saved and invested. I think I'm a quarter away from my freedom, because having learned, I think 4 years ago when I stumbled through your works, I have ended up buying 2 assets, one in Brainstone and one in Midlands, which are self-funding. So the assets pays for the mortgage and it leaves me with some extra funds. The portfolio has grown and the cash flow is coming in. Yeah, so I'm now trying to just build my bond portfolio. What I've done is, like, since I get paid in dollars, so I'm optimizing my local projects with the exchange rate benefit that is accruing from the income. So I'm keeping some offshore and some locally, but in foreign currency. I'm really proud, just to add on 2 projects that I've undertaken in the last 2 years. I decided to plant a 1 acre plantation of Cavendish bananas 2 years ago. And as we speak, we are harvesting and selling bananas every day. So I've ticked that up, and currently I'm busy planting avocado trees. So I planted 100 trees last year. I'm attempting to plant 200 trees now, because it is a brand that matures in 3 years. So I'm hoping in the next 3 years, we should have enough avocados to sell as well. So it's really been interesting to increase the number of income or cash producing activities to the portfolio and see what happens. Yeah. So it's really been exciting. It's just the understanding. It is shocking when you meet people. And today there is one young man from India who has joined Papua New Guinea. And this is his first time working out of the country. So I was telling him, I need to sit down with him and give him pointers. So when you talk about investment portfolio, it's strange language. So people live paycheck to paycheck, and there is no identification of the possibilities of changing their lives through creating assets. That is the missing link, the ignorance around identifying the fact that your salary will take you nowhere. So it's not about income, it's about cash flow. So if you say pay yourself first, you have money you stash away which you can't touch, it goes for investment, and you remain with X that you use for day to day. Once you have that habit, like I tell people, I don't have to remember how much I need to invest. It just happens on its own. So I'm able to manage my resources that way. So even my wife, she has the app. She goes to the market. She has to charge the expense where it is, so that when we do a money review, those are the things we never used to do because of lack of knowledge. But now it's mandatory. We need to do a money review and see which areas we are overspending and why. If we overspend purposely, it's fine, because it was by design. So we don't have to starve ourselves. But if we decide we will spoil ourselves with 2 lunches or instead of 1, it's a choice we have made, and it's okay. I think sometimes it's like if you are working without a vision, the very thing you emphasize on enoughness. So it's like, even when there is enough, you think you don't have enough. At any moment, at least we are clear that there is enough to go around. So there is nothing like you are getting more than you really should. Just get what you need, and you define what it is, and life goes on. So there is no tension. I think that's the beauty of managing the resources together with your partner. You all know what you are gunning for, and there is no stress, and you are all aware that preservation is key in order to attain your end game. So I think independence is good, so that you work to build your asset portfolio instead of working to consume your money. So that makes a big difference, because I think one is independent. I know even if I stop work today, my life doesn't depend on this salary. So this salary for me, it's critical for me to build more assets. So I use my work in P&G as an activity that should result in me creating another asset. I would like to ask the headmasters to give me an opportunity to give a class for free to the students before they graduate, so that as they graduate, getting into the market, they are aware of what behaviors they need to carry in order to safeguard their futures. Because I think this portion of how to manage money is never taught anywhere. No, it's really been a good journey, thanks to you. I think at home they even say, who is this lady that you keep listening to all the time? Then I say, this is because, again, there is something that people must learn. You know, when you've got a good mentor and you are focused to apply what you are being taught, don't wander too much with listening to too many principles. You must settle with one way of working that works for you. So like for me, if it comes to how do I give my money a job, Wealth Pie is the only thing I use because I'm comfortable with it. So there's 70, 50, the 50, 15, 10, they can do it. I know it's one way of doing it, but for me, Wealth Pie is the one that resonates to me, and I split my resources according to Wealth Pie. So I don't want to be confused by so many principles. It really makes a difference, because if you read too many principles and you're applying too many principles, you get lost. So you just pick what works for you and stick to it, and grow and just add to improve. Yeah. Thanks again to you. I think it's really, for me, has been an eye-opener that I've taken with both hands, and it's working well for me.